Green Bay Packers Nation, how's it going? This is Brody, and we need to talk about a situation that could seriously shake up our season right from the start. Star running back Josh Jacobs is facing potential NFL discipline stemming from an offseason arrest, and the implications could be significant for our beloved Packers. Before we dive into this, tell me where you're watching from and what you think about this situation. With the season just around the corner, it's crucial we stay informed. And by the way, we're building this community toward 5,000 subscribers, so please subscribe and help us reach that milestone. Now, let's get into the details. General Manager Brian Gutekunst confirmed that the Packers are preparing for the possibility that Jacobs could miss the start of the 2026 season due to a suspension related to his arrest back in May on multiple serious charges, including domestic abuse. Although he was released the next day without formal charges, the investigation is still open, and the NFL can impose its own discipline under its personal conduct policy, regardless of the criminal case's outcome. This is not just a minor issue. It's something that could potentially reshape the dynamics of our running game. Jacobs has been a powerhouse for us, racking up 929 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns last season alone. His absence would leave a gaping hole, and while Gutekunst expressed confidence in the depth behind Jacobs, the reality is that our backup options are relatively unproven. Marshawn Lloyd, who has only 6 career carries, would likely step into a larger role, but can he handle the pressure? The immediate impact of a suspension would be felt in our offensive strategy, particularly as we face a competitive NFC North schedule. With less than 3 weeks until we kick off against the Minnesota Vikings, the organization is on high alert. The uncertainty around Jacobs, combined with his recent groin injury, raises even more questions as we approach the start of the season. On the flip side, if Jacobs does face a suspension, it might free up some salary cap space, which could allow the Packers to make additional roster moves. That's a silver lining, but it doesn't overshadow the challenge of having to replace a player of Jacobs' caliber in crucial games. Ultimately, the strongest argument in favor of Jacobs sticking around is his proven track record and the explosive playmaking ability he brings to the field. But the main risk is clear. If he does get suspended, it would put immense pressure on our backup running backs to step up quickly. So, what does this all reveal about the Packers? It shows that while we have a solid front office and coaching staff, we're still vulnerable to unforeseen circumstances. Now let's see how this unfolds and what it means for our upcoming season. Next, we'll dive into another story that could impact our roster decisions as the season kicks off. And this situation becomes even more critical as we dive deeper into the offensive line concerns for the Green Bay Packers. The team is facing a significant dilemma with potential roster shakeups looming, particularly with the status of star running back Josh Jacobs still up in the air. Following his May arrest on suspicion of domestic abuse, Jacobs could be facing disciplinary action that might sideline him at the start of the season. This uncertainty is a huge deal for the Packers, as their offensive line is already under the microscope. They struggled last season to create running lanes, and the absence of a dynamic player like Jacobs would only exacerbate those issues. General Manager Brian Gutekunst is preparing for the worst, stating, "I'm pretty confident we can sustain it." That doesn't mean we wouldn't do that, but yeah, we'll deal with that when that comes. His confidence in the current roster is admirable, but can they really withstand the loss of a player of Jacobs' caliber? If Jacobs is indeed suspended, the immediate impact on the running game could be devastating. The Packers not only need to address their offensive line concerns, but they'll also be scrambling to find a suitable replacement if Jacobs isn't available. Roster cut day is fast approaching, and the urgency to make strategic moves is palpable. On the positive side, Gutekunst seems to have faith in the players currently in the room, which could foster a next-man-up mentality. However, the main criticism here is that relying on unproven talent might not be sufficient in a league where every game counts, especially early in the season. In my honest opinion, the Packers are navigating a tightrope with this situation. It's a delicate balance of hope and caution. The uncertainty surrounding Jacobs, compounded by the shaky offensive line, raises serious questions about the team's ability to compete effectively right out of the gate. As we turn our attention to the next development, this situation continues to put pressure on the decision-makers in Green Bay. What will they do to shore up their running game ahead of the season opener? Let's take a look. And now, we wrap up today's discussion with a crucial look at the Green Bay Packers' struggles in closing out practices, a situation that has raised some serious concerns heading into the season. During their recent joint practice, the Packers faced off against the Cardinals in a series of 2-minute drills, and let's just say it didn't go as planned. Despite starting strong, The team faltered when it mattered most, finishing the day 0-4 in these critical scenarios. This isn't just a practice problem. It's a pattern that echoes the struggle from last season, where finishing games became a significant Achilles heel. Why does this matter? Well, for the Packers, it's more than just a missed opportunity in practice. It's a reflection of a mindset that needs to change. Last season, they lost several games by failing to secure leads late in the fourth quarter, a trend that Coach Matt LaFleur has been vocal about addressing. He emphasized the necessity of a finish mentality, but watching the team struggle in these drills raises alarm bells about whether they can translate that mentality into actual game situations. The immediate impact? It creates doubt in the coaching staff and, more importantly, in the locker room. If this team can't execute in practice, how can they be trusted to execute when the stakes are high in real games? The long-term consequence could be severe, as a lack of confidence in closing out games can lead to a downward spiral, affecting performance and morale throughout the season. On the flip side, the strongest argument in favor of this situation is that it's still early in the season and there's time to correct course. The Packers are working through a young roster, and these joint practices serve as essential learning experiences. It's better to have these hiccups now rather than in critical moments during the regular season. However, the risk here is palpable. If the Packers continue to struggle with finishing, it's going to be a long season filled with frustration, especially considering how they ended last year. The pressure is mounting, and if they can't find a way to turn these practice failures into successes, the questions will only grow louder. In my honest opinion, this situation reveals a need for urgent action and adjustment. The Packers have the talent to compete, but they need to prove they can finish. It's a test of character, and one that they must pass if they want to be true contenders this season. As we look ahead, what does this reveal about the direction of the Green Bay Packers? Are they ready to break the cycle of failure and become a team that can close out games? I want to hear your thoughts on this. And before you go, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to help us reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers. Your support means the world to us as we continue to build this community around our beloved Packers. Thanks for tuning in.